All right, everybody, welcome back to Kasanbun. It's been a while. If you're new here, welcome. I will be going through both Genki 1 and Genki 2 series. Each video will be about one unit with a lot of practice and hopefully a lot of good, simple explanation for you guys. If you're not new, you're probably wondering where I've been for like the last 3 years. I've just fucked off and started doing a lot of other projects. Yeah, that'll be another video if demand is high enough. I'll say if I get 3 separate comments asking about what I've been up to, I'll make an entire video dedicated to it. But you clicked on this video likely to learn Japanese, so I'm gonna be here to try and teach you it. There's a random but coffee connect. I don't know what this is doing. How do I make this fuck off? So, we're going to be starting with the Genki 1 series. This is Unit 1. Starts off with the dialogue. Lesson 1, making friends, right? So the reason I don't really like the dialogue positioning in the Genki books is it comes in right in the beginning when you don't know any of the grammar points. So if you're learning Japanese for the first time and this is your first ever lesson, this doesn't really help you. Right? You don't really know what's going on. So, we're actually going to come back to the dialogue later once you have a little bit of an idea of what everything actually means. There's a vocabulary here. Am I going to be a good person and write down all the vocab lists in the comments? Maybe. If I can copy and paste it. Yeah. If I can't, good luck, soldiers. Screen capture. I'm sorry. It's quite a bit. So we got I can highlight it. It will be in the comments for you guys. You guys look at that. Oh my god. So we got ima, which is now, eigo, ie, student, which is gakusei, right? We got a lot of these stuff down here. I'm going to put it in the comments. My recommendation is everything I put in the comments, go ahead and copy and paste that into something called Enki Droid. It's basically a flashcard deck, and literally just memorize all of these. Everything is important. Everything. Like it's like before the test, highlight what's important. This is what's important. All of it. Because in a language you don't know what's going to be needed and what's not. Better to know it and not need it than need it and not know it. So, gonna go ahead and get started. We got here bunpo, which means grammar. That's obviously the English. I'm trying to highlight this part here. Bunpo means grammar. There's kanji for it. It's actually this kanji right up here. It's these 2 pieces. So if you wanted to know. That's what grammar is, right? We're going to go ahead and get started. So the first grammar point in our Genki series is down here. It's x wa y des. And I'm sure if you've never studied Japanese before, you're wondering, like, bro, is this not ha? Like, why are you saying wa? You're absolutely right. But whenever ha is used as a subject particle, which is what we're going to learn about, it's pronounced wa. So we're going to keep on going. It is 12:30. I am a student. My major is the Japanese language. These sentences will all be translated into Japanese using an appropriate noun and the word this. This right here. Right? So, in English, we have the verb to be, which would be like I am, right? It is, my major is. Luckily, in Japanese, there's no real conjugation that changes in terms of the subject. So if I say I am, he is, they are, right? The verb to be changes based on the subject. Japanese, luckily, it doesn't. If it's different tense, it will change, like past tense, which we'll get into later. But the subject doesn't affect the verb, which is really, really nice. So if you just memorize this, you know how to use the verb to be for present tense, basically, right? So we're going to go ahead and look at some examples. So bear with me. I'm going to read this like a toddler because this doesn't have kanji. And once you get to a certain, like, level, things start looking weird without the kanji, and then when you're starting, things look much easier without the kanji, so it's a little bit funny. But 12時は oh fuck 12時半です, right? So 10 is 10 and then ni is 2. So juni is basically a way to say 12. And then ji is like time, like a clock, right? So juni ji han. And that means like half this. So it, like there is no real word for it. It's just kind of implied. So it is 12:30. 学生です. I am a student. 日本語です. My major is the Japanese language. You can see it's kind of in parentheses because it's sort of implied. So if I asked you, 専攻は何ですか, right? What is your major? You would just say 日本語です. You don't have to say like my major is. You can just say the answer. It's very, very normal. And we're gonna go ahead and go and look at that. So note that none of these sentences has, okay, that's incorrect English. None of these sentences have a subject like it, I, my major, right? Like found in their English counterparts. And sentences without these subjects are very common in Japanese. Japanese speakers actually tend to omit the subjects whenever they think it is clear to the listener what or who they are referring to. Now, this seems a little bit confusing at first, so I'm going to try to break it down, right? If I said, my dad is from America. My dad is American. My dad works for Samsung. My dad lives in New York. After saying my dad like 30 times, you're probably gonna want to stab me, right? After I say my dad once, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to he. He works for Samsung. He lives in New York, that kind of thing, right? In Japanese, it's much similar, where the subject just kind of gets omitted completely because it just sounds more natural. And if you keep repeating the subject over and over and over, it kind of sounds like me saying my dad, my dad, my dad. I already know you're talking about my dad. We can move past that and use something else. And in Japanese, it's just omitting the subject completely. In English, it's using a pronoun. So it sounds very natural just to say things like 学生です, 日本語です, 12時半です, like that kind of thing, because it's assuming that we already know what the subject was based on the context of the conversation. All right. So what are we to do then when it is not clear what is being talked about? To make explicit what we are talking about. Because okay, this English is much weirder than I remember. So if you want to be clear, you want to be really clear about what we're talking about, we go to wa, which is what I was talking about earlier, right? Whoop, that's the wrong button. Wa, right? So you'll put the subject before wa. Before, right? So blank is the Japanese language, right? So where there's the underline, that stands for the topic. And then you'll go down here. It's what I said a little bit earlier. Senko. Senko means major, right? Area of study. Senko. So senko wa nihongo desu. My major is the Japanese language. Again, you can even see here my is omitted. It's kind of obvious, you know, if you're talking to somebody or you're like talking towards a group of people that you're likely talking about yourself, right? So it's a fair assumption to guess. Similarly, we can use the pattern x wa y desu to identify a person or a thing, x as item y, right? So x wa y desu, x is y. As for x, it is y. All right. This sounds really complicated, but it's not that hard. Ready? So watashi wa Sukim desu. Right? So I am Sukim. Right? Yamashita-san wa sensei desu. Mr. Yamashita is a teacher. And then Mary-san wa Amerikajin desu. Mary is an American. Right? So that's basically this, right? It's really simple. You have the subject and then the noun and then this. That's basically it for using x, y, this. Thank you guys for watching. In my next video, we'll go ahead and learn how to make this into a question. So hope to see you guys there.